I had a weird childhood. I got run over by a car when I was a little boy. Anybody else? Anybody else have a really negligent babysitter? My babysitter ran over me with her car when I was 10 years old. Yeah, it was not great. We had terrible babysitters growing up. My parents would not fire them no matter what they did. I don't know if they're just like getting a deal or something. But it was what I remember. This different babysitter. She would make my brother and sister and I lay on top of the bed with her and take off our socks. And she would say, "Look at your feet." And she would say, "One day we'll do this again, but your feet will be bigger than mine." And I was like 7, and I was just like, "Linda, I don't think you're gonna be in our lives that long. When I'm bigger than you, we are not gonna do this. This is not some tradition we are gonna have together." In fact, when I tell Mom and Dad about this, I don't think we're ever gonna see you again. And if I exaggerate just a little bit, you're gonna go to jail, and you can compare your feet with whoever you want there. I think they do that. We had another babysitter who was very nice, but she was Russian, and she had just got here from Russia, and she did not have the language down all the way. And she was so nice, but she would tuck us in at night, and she would tell us to rest in peace. And we did not. We did not rest in peace. We slept in shifts. This is what we did do. And always very tired after Natasha babysat. But the worst babysitter is the one that ran over me with her car. You know, that's tough to beat when it comes to bad babysitting, running over the child you're hired to protect. But what happened was I was like 10 years old. My brother Garrett was like 8. We were playing in the front yard. We were playing with guns in the front yard. We were in Georgia, and I remember my parents had come home, so it was time for Catherine, the babysitter, to leave. So she's backing down the driveway, and I realized from across the yard that I left my toy gun laying in the driveway. So I ran across the yard. I laid down. I reached out. I grabbed my gun, and before I could pull my arm back, Catherine rolled over my arm with her back right tire, and everybody started screaming. You know, my dad came out, and he's just like, "What happened?" And I was just like, "Catherine ran over me with her car." And my brother's like, "Catherine tried to kill Andrew again." And we had some history. And I was just like, "Dad, take me to the emergency room." And he said, "Well, let me see it." And I said, "No, it was with her car. A doctor needs to see it so fast." And I had to convince them to take me to the emergency room. I thought that Catherine was going to have to drive me, and I was not emotionally ready for that. My dad was like, "Well, you're wearing a sweatshirt." And I was like, "I don't think that's how Under Armour works." And they took me, they did an x-ray. It turns out my arm was not broken. It just got mushed a little bit. So next Sunday night, guess who was back to babysit at our house? You gotta break a bone to get fired from our family, but she became my favorite babysitter because now I can do whatever I want. You know, if you run over a kid, they kind of call the shots after that. She'd be like, "Andrew, it's time to go to bed." And I'd be like, "Okay, Catherine, can I read you a poem that I wrote first? I wrote it just for you. Roses are red, violets are blue, and so is my arm because you ran over it with your Civic. Turn on Nickelodeon and get me a beer." And she didn't last very long after that. So you guys, hey, you guys are so much fun. I'm Andrew Stanley. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's great.